Hey everyone! Today we're going to start going back over the special segments of a triangle. Today we're going to start with medians. So before we start with this worksheet, I wanted to go over what a median is. So given a triangle, a median will start at the midpoint of one side. So if that's the midpoint, that means that both of these pieces are equal, and it will connect to the opposite vertex. Since triangles have three sides, it will have three medians. Midpoint E. So this half is equal to this half. It's connecting to the opposite vertex. Midpoint F. So this half is equal to this half and connects to the opposite vertex. That point where all three of the medians meet is called the centroid. Okay, so when you have problems, sometimes it'll just say this point is the centroid. Let's call it G. Okay, the other special thing about medians is the way that they meet. So that centroid will cut each median into a piece that is 2/3 and 1/3. So looking at the median AE, whatever side is touching the vertex, so from A to G, that is 2/3 of the median. The other piece, the piece that touches the midpoint, is only 1/3. And of course this drawing is hand drawn, so it's not perfectly to scale, but you can kind of tell that the part that's touching vertex A is longer than the other part. Same thing for all the other medians. As long as it's touching the vertex, that's the longer side, 2/3. This other one is 1/3. Touching the vertex B, so this is 2/3. And this is 1/3. Okay, so now to go to the worksheet that I left for you guys. On the front, it's pretty basic. It just gives you numbers. So for number 1, it says, find FE of if TE is 8. So they gave us TE. TE is half, and that's 8. But they want us to find FE, so the whole thing. But we know that if this is a median, then this half is equal to this half. So I just have to do two pieces that are 8 long would give us 16. Okay, problem number 3. Find LJ if IJ is 6. So this time they gave us the whole thing, and they tell us that that's 6. But they want us to find LJ. They only want us to find half of that. So I'm going to multiply what is 1/2 of 6. And if you put that in the calculator, that should get you 3. Number 5 says, find ZQ if ZD is 6. So this time it is giving us the entire median, and it's telling us that that is 6. But it only wants us to find ZQ, so from this point here. Q, because there's two medians, is the centroid of that triangle, which means that it's split up into two pieces, 2/3 and 1/3. And like we talked about before, the side that touches the vertex is going to be the 2/3 side. The other one is 1/3. So if I know that the entire thing is 6, how do I find what 2/3 of 6 is? So either you can multiply 2/3 times 6, and that will give you 4. Another way you can do it is that since I know the median is divided into 3 equal pieces, I would divide that by 3, which gives me 2. But then because it's the longer side, it's 2/3. So then I would times that by 2, which also gives me 4. So whichever way is easier for you to do. Okay, let's look at number 7. Find BG if BV is 3.9. So again, BV is the entire median, and they're telling us that that is 3.9. Now they want us to find BG. So from the vertex to the centroid. So if the entire thing is 3.9, I know that medians are always divided into 3 equal pieces, so I'm going to do that first, which gives me 1.3. So now we need to decide, is the piece that they gave us, or that they want us to find, is that 2/3 or 1/3? In this case, because it's touching the vertex, that's going to be the 2/3. So we're going to times this number by 2, which gives us 2.6. Number 9. If DH, find DH if BH is 4.5. Okay, so BH, the entire thing, is 4.5. Now they want us to find DH. So like I said before, medians are always divided into 3 equal parts. So I'm going to start by dividing by 3. And that gives me 1.5. So DH, the part that they want us to find, is that the 2/3 part or is it the 1/3 part? The part that touches the vertex is the 2/3. So that's not the one they wanted us to find. They wanted us to find the other piece, which is 1/3. So this 1.5, I'm going to times it by 1. But of course, multiplying by 1 doesn't do anything to your number, so it's going to stay 1.5. So the front part of the worksheet is pretty simple because it deals with numbers. Once you get to the back, we're going to be solving for x, which is going to take a little bit more algebra on our part. But the same rules still apply. Medians go from midpoint to vertex, which means that sides will be cut in half, and medians will be split into 3 parts. So on this one, it says, find x if GE is 3x plus 5. So GE is the entire side, 3x plus 5. And IE, so IE is only halfway, is x plus 6. Okay, so from the rules of medians, I know that both pieces are the same, which means that if I want the green line to be equal to the blue line that I have drawn there, I would have to times that green line by 2. So what I'm going to do is put a 2 on the outside of it. 2 pieces that are x plus 6 should be equal to the whole thing, which is 3x plus 5. You have your smart calculators, so if you want to use NSolve, that's menu 3.1, you're more than welcome to do that, but I do still want you to write down the equation that you're plugging in. If you rather work it by hand, we would have to start by distributing the 2. So that gives us 2x plus 12. The other side stays the same. Now we want the x's to be on the same side. So I'm going to subtract this 2x from both sides. And then I want x to be by itself. So I'm going to subtract the 5 from both sides. So that gives me that 7 equals x. Okay, let's look at number 13. Find x if ET equals 3x plus 2 and EM equals 5x. Okay, so ET is from the vertex to the centroid, and they're telling us that that is 3x plus 2. EM is from the vertex all the way to the opposite midpoint, so the entire median, and they're telling us that that is 5x. Okay, so this one is not going to be 2 equal pieces. Remember, medians are cut into 3 equal pieces. So what we have to decide is how do these relate to each other. Since ET is touching the vertex, I know that this is the longer 2/3 part of the median. So 5x, the longer blue part, I want to make it smaller the way the red line is, so I'm going to multiply that by 2/3, which means that it'll now be equal to the red line. Okay, so if I do my distribution first, 5 times 2/3 is going to be 10/3. So it's going to stay a fraction for now. Then we are going to put all of our x's on the same side. So I'm going to subtract this 3x. Okay, so 1's a fraction and 1 is a whole number. So you're going to have to find a common denominator, or you could just type this in the calculator. It'll do it for you. 10/3 minus 3 would become 1/3. Okay, but I want that x to be by itself. So to get rid of that 1/3, I'm going to divide by it, which will give me x equals 6. So that one was a little more complicated because of the fractions. So I would suggest utilizing your calculator on that one. Okay, number 15, find CQ if CR is x, so this half is x, and CQ is 2x minus 6. So we know by the rules of medians that that's the midpoint, which means that this half is equal to this half. So this one is a pretty simple one. You're just going to have to set the two expressions equal to each other. X equals 2x minus 6. We want the x's to be on the same side, so I'm going to subtract the 2x from here, which would give me negative 1x equals negative 6. But I don't want it to be negative. I want it to just be a regular x. So I'm going to divide by negative 1, which gives me x equals 6. But that's not where we're going to stop because the question asks us to find CQ. So we're going to have to get that 6 and plug it into the expression for CQ. So 2x minus 6. But we're plugging 6 in here. So 12 minus 6 equals 6. So CQ would be 6. Okay, and then 17. Find XQ. Let's see. Okay, XQ. If MQ is 3x minus 3 and XQ is 2x minus 6. So medians are divided into 3 equal parts. So it's either 1/3 or 2/3. This is the side where the vertex is at. So since this piece is not touching the vertex, it's only 1/3. So I'm going to do 2x minus 6 equals 1/3 of the entire thing, which was 3x minus 3. Then we will distribute our 1/3. So for now, the left side's going to stay the same. But the right side, I'm sorry, not 1/3. 1/3 times 3 is 1. And the same thing here. 1/3 times 3 is 1. Move all our x's to the same side. And then we want x to be by itself, so we're going to move that 6. Which gives me x equals 5. Okay, and that's the worksheet. So I don't think the front part's going to give you much problems. It's more of the back part because of all of those expressions. Your assignment for today is to do all the even problems, but make sure that your odd problems are filled in, especially since I gave you all the answers right now. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.